I love simulator games. You know what else I also love? Successful simulator games. But you can't be successful without making a couple enemies. And this is what we're kind of seeing here today because we need to talk about Schedule 1 being investigated for possible copyright infringement that is currently being investigated by the IP legal team from Movie Games that is the publisher behind Drug Dealer Simulator. Now, we're going to dive a little bit into this because this is a developing story, and two, I actually love simulator games. I really do. You guys know me for years. Maybe you've seen my content in the past, but let's talk about specifically the players in the lobby right now because it's going to get a little bit complicated because I'm going to be mentioning simulator a lot, drug dealing a lot. So let's clear the air for a minute. First, we have TVGS. They're both the developers and publishers for Schedule 1. Schedule 1 has been trending for the past several weeks since its launch. Is a very successful title. Everyone, including content creators, large and small, has been playing this game. But then you also have the OGs in that theme when it comes to simulator games, or at least a genre of simulators, known as Drug Dealer Simulator. And that is being developed by Byte Runners and the publisher being Movie Games. Now, they did make a sequel, but the sequel wasn't as successful. It's still getting some mixed reviews. But if you notice, both of these games are currently getting review bombed, hence why you're seeing overwhelmingly negative reviews as of recently. Because in light of the lawsuit that's going on or the investigation of copyright infringement, you have a lot of gamers that don't like this move that Movie Games is pulling off. Plus, it's very important to understand that Movie Games is also a publicly traded company that's based in Poland. I would recommend that you keep this information with you throughout this video because this is very important to know. Now, I'm not overestimating the hype of this game when I tell you that Schedule 1 is a very popular simulator game that has taken, the gaming space by storm. As of Tuesday morning, Schedule 1 is the top 15 most popular category on Twitch TV. Basically, all you're doing is just drug dealing. You're making drugs, you go to different clients, you hand out samples for free, you try to get your product as popular as possible after a gang just destroyed your RV and your uncle got arrested for drug charges. You can also make your own drugs as well. You have your own apartment or your own property where you can actually make your own drugs. You can lace your weed however you want. You also can hire people on top of that, which is really cool. There's a lot of things that you can do with Schedule 1. But the thing for me, and I'm just going to speak on this personally, is that Drug Dealer Simulator, at least Part 1, was an okay game. It was great. I loved it. It has a special place in my heart. It was really addicting. I was learning how to make coke and make heroin and then grow weed and everything, and it was really fun. But then Drug Dealer Simulator 2 came out, and it kind of took you on like an island where there's like multiple methods of transportation, and then there's people or like clients that's asking you for drugs. There was a lot going on with that game, and it didn't hit for me as it did Part 1. So I only played Part 2 for like, I shit you not, like only 3 hours, and that was it. I was done with the game. I couldn't fuck with it. Not too far into the future, if we fast forward, we do have Schedule 1, and Schedule 1 just stole my heart. It really did. I love the art style. It's very simple, straightforward. It doesn't bombard you and doesn't hold your hand and say like, hey, well, these are all these clients, take care of them, you're on your own. It's not like that. The game is really fun. It has an addictive gameplay loop. It's really cool. And you will see it for yourself once you play the game or even watch the game yourself. It's really funny. I would definitely recommend you check it out. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because Schedule 1 is so popular that you have a lot of shareholders and investors of Movie Games that's feeling some type of way about Schedule 1 eating Drug Dealer Simulator's lunch. This is a message from the Drug Dealer Simulator server on Discord where we have Michael P, who is from Movie Games. I'm not clear on his role in that company, but he goes on to say what is going on exactly. Due to repeated opinions that Schedule 1 is very similar to Drug Dealer Simulator, we're obligated to request a legal analysis from an intellectual property specialist. It has indicated that there might have been some infringement by the Schedule 1 developers in relation to Drug Dealer Simulator. Now, we are obligated to follow up further, but we are yet to contact the Schedule 1 developers. Our goal at this point is discussing the situation with them, and we have an open approach. Michael will go on to say, like we said, we need to start a conversation, and it's not our intention to prevent TVGS from selling or developing their game. Overall, our goal is to support all devs, but we need to consider our legal obligations if law specialists determine that there are grounds to claim infringement. We even contacted TVGS via email just before the release when the game was already huge, but that was before that legal analysis. Back then, no one expected it to be needed, not to mention that it would bring these results. This is a very serious situation for us. We are not a big corporation, but a relatively small indie publisher. There are other drug simulators out there with very positive scores and good sales. These are a-okay in regards to DDS according to lawyers. What we know is we have to be very careful in all proceedings. If I had to ask Michael one question, I think the question would be, okay, what other drug dealer games are you talking about that have very good scores and have good sales and are okay when it comes to any legal matters? Like, I would love to see those games and see what makes them so unique that makes Schedule 1 like a red flag. Now, personally for me, yes, there may have been people like me, myself included, that have made comparisons to Drug Dealer Simulator. Even on my live stream, I always spoke about Drug Dealer Simulator. I was like, oh, Drug Dealer Simulator does this. Okay, Drug Dealer Simulator doesn't do that. Okay, this is pretty unique. This is a unique spin. And that's about it. But then you have shareholders and investors that are hearing this and they're seeing Schedule 1 trending and they're saying, wait, there's a game that's similar to Drug Dealer Simulator and they're making a lot more money than Drug Dealer Simulator? Something isn't right. I think you should investigate that. Now, the reason why I mentioned that Movie Games is a publicly traded company and is because of the term that he used in that message where he says he is obligated to do this. He is obligated to travel legal avenues on the possibility of copyright infringement committed by TVGS. I don't know how entirely true this is, but apparently because they're a publicly traded company, if investors and shareholders are saying, hey, listen, I think this game is very similar. A lot of people are comparing Schedule 1 to Drug Dealer Simulator. You might need to investigate this for copyright infringement because right now this game is very popular. It's eating your lunch. It's taking your money away and there's serious competition going on. We need to understand what is going on here. And maybe investors and shareholders don't like that. They don't like the fact that there is a competitor out there that is eating their team's lunch. That's really all it is. Schedule 1 just moved into the block and it's making money. It's introducing new product in the neighborhood and people is fucking with Schedule 1. Meanwhile, you got, Drug Dealer Simulator that's sitting there like, yo, I'm hearing about this new kid that just pulled up to the neighborhood and now everyone is talking about his drugs and everything. Yo, what the fuck is up with that? So, of course, you have shareholders and investors that feel some type of way, and I feel they're the reason why there's pressure on Movie Games to look for some sort of lawsuit. So, in short, the CEO behind Movie Games is stuck between a rock and a hard place. If they don't sue, then there's a possibility that the CEO could lose his job because now that CEO could be accused of negligence. Like that's actually a legit thing. He could be accused of negligence and he could be removed from his role. But then if he does push for a lawsuit, then that runs the chances of Schedule 1 being shut down. That's going to receive a lot of negative press on Movie Games. People are going to boycott Drug Dealer Simulator. It's a very bad situation all around. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Now, this isn't me defending Movie Games. I don't want Movie Games to sue Schedule 1. There should be competition. Yes, Drug Dealer Simulator is a great game of itself, but Schedule 1 has, shook the tree a little bit. It's ruffling some leaves and it's changing the game, and Schedule 1 is really scratching that itch that a lot of people has been asking for to get scratched for some time. And especially with Drug Dealer Simulator 2 and how much of a miss it was, you really have a lot of fans of the drug dealer simulator scene that are sitting there like, yo, it would be cool if there could be another game that could actually fill that void. And Schedule 1 is doing a good job at that. So as far as copyright infringement goes, we have to discuss what could possibly be copyrighted. So this is Drug Dealer Simulator 1, where you can use your cell phone to call clients, you can set appointments or meetups, you could talk to Eddie to schedule drugs or things like that. You could call a lot of people and you get your information on your phone. Now, you can do the same thing when it comes to Schedule 1. But I don't think cell phones holds a lot of weight, because there are many games where you would use a cell phone in order to look through objectives and call people. Like, we're talking about GTA, we're talking about Yakuza, we're talking about Watch Dogs. Like, imagine movie games suing GTA because GTA has been using cell phones when it comes to talking to clients and doing missions on their phones. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. Next is the intercom saving system. So apparently in Drug Dealer Simulator 1, you have the intercom that's usually by the entrance of your property or your home where you would save your game. This here is Schedule 1, where they have the same thing, where they have an intercom right by the door and you can click on it and you can save your game. Maybe that could be grounds for copyright, but then again, that's very petty. I don't really think that's the case. But then you also have what a lot of people have been pointing to, the police. So on the left, you have Drug Dealer Simulator, where on the right, you have Schedule 1. Both of these police officers are interrogating you or searching your person for any drugs. Drug Dealer Simulator on the left, you will have a police officer that's searching you, there's a bar, and that's it. That's all there is to it. There's no mini game that you have to play in order to hide the contraband from the police officer. But then when you look at Schedule 1 on the right, not only is the police officer, interrogating you and searching your person, but you also have to actively hide your contraband as the police officer is searching you. So it's kind of like a mini game of sorts. So this is not something that exists in Drug Dealer Simulator 1. So it looks like as if, like, okay, Schedule 1 did take some ideas from DDS, but instead they added a mini game to make it more interesting and engaging. I don't think there's any grounds for a lawsuit there or copyright. It's just Schedule 1 just adding their own flavor. That's really it. There has been other reasons why there may be copyright infringement, such as the way that you can hire drug dealers and workers to work on your drugs and to manufacture drugs for you. And again, that has no ground. I would argue against that, only because, again, when you look at Grand Theft Auto 5, when you go to online multiplayer, you have multiple businesses where you can forge documents, you can make meth, you can make weed. Like, imagine, again, movie games suing GTA for those reasons. I just think the whole lawsuit is rather silly. I hope nothing comes out of this, but as of right now, Michael P, at least, is definitely stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's really how I'm seeing it. I hope they find no grounds for a lawsuit, but it would be very disappointing if they were to just keep going with this and actively find ways to shut down Schedule 1. It would be very disappointing. But until then, that's really all I have. I just wanted to talk about this because I love simulator games. I want to share that with y'all. But yeah, I feel there's going to be some sort of Streisand effect where Schedule 1 is really going to blow up all because of this lawsuit. Kind of similar to how Power World was getting sued by Pokemon and now everyone in Amon is playing Power World. These games are very successful, and it just sucks that in the gaming industry you have companies that feel as if they own this tiny element and no other game could actually use that. Even if it's out of inspiration, they will look at you and say, hey, you can't have this. This is ours. You are infringing on our IP. It's just so stupid. But until then, y'all, that's about it. Take care. Peace.